Tonight, we go inside a world where very few people are willing to talk about publicly. A world of blue lights, secret files, stolen evidence, missing trucks, and officers, according to multiple allegations, who used their guns, their badges, and their blue lights that us taxpayers have paid for to allegedly rob as well as steal and kill. Tonight, we are going into a criminal unit operating inside a law enforcement agency. And at the center of these allegations, someone who spoke, Marius van der Merwe, someone who ended up dead after naming names. A whistleblower's whose claims would eventually cost him his life. Now, stay with me because this story escalates fast. And we're going to start off with a teaser of what is to come. Now, I want you to pay attention to what we're going to talk about later, which is this copper theft that occurred, and there was CCTV footage, and names are mentioned. Now, I want you to pay attention to the man in the red shirt.
That is Etienne. That's the Etienne person, the civilian climbing out of the passenger.
Did you see that? Now, Revo Spies says that is the Etienne person. That is the Etienne person who is climbing out.
This is Etienne van der Walt. Witness D, known as Van der Merwe, implicated him at the Madlanga Commission. Van der Merwe told the commission that Van der Walt, an informant Jaco Hanekom, and Chris Smith from private security had appointment letters from EMPD stating that they formed part of an EMPD truck hijacking task team. Van der Merwe also said the group was at the crime scene in Brakpan in 2022 and alleged a suspect was tortured and choked to death. Etienne van der Walt has denied any wrongdoing.
We've been implicated in truck hijackings for the last 4 or 5 years. Myself and Chris spoke about it quite a few times. We weren't happy about it because, you know, you do such good work. And we've on numerous occasions actually made a joke of it and said, let them just come and arrest us and let it get over and done with so that everyone can see that we are clean. When I spoke to my lawyer and he actually said to me, they are going to think that you are protecting him. I don't know Julius that much. I worked with him on 2 occasions and I've met with him on about 4 or 5 occasions. But I've got nothing to protect Julius on. If Julius is wrong in the eyes of the law, he needs to answer to his own wrongdoings.
At the Madlanga Commission, Van der Merwe implicated.
What are the chances of 2 people being named Etienne? I mean, Etienne, it's a pretty common Afrikaans name, but resembling each other, you know, being associated with the same individuals, and then their names being dropped by Marius van der Merwe, who would end up dead. Marius van der Merwe, I think, was right when he said in his testimony that he was scared to associate with these people. Now, I want you to draw your own conclusions and comment below what you think. But remember, use the word alleged. I'm not saying that these are the same individual, but what I want you to do is to draw your own conclusions. Use your brain to make up your own mind. And this is just a teaser for what is to come. So remember to watch until the end and immediately hit that like button because we are going to talk about patterns. We are going to talk about patterns that Revo Spies and Marius van der Merwe, may he rest in peace, have identified. And the same names that keep cropping up, the same names that are alleged to be associated to a certain Julius Mkhwanasi. And let me tell you, the rot runs deep. We are going to connect many of the dots. So we've spoken a lot about the blue light scandal. I'm going to skip over it for this episode because I want to focus more on the other allegations that Revo Spies made. So Revo Spies used to be in charge of logistics in the EMPD, and then he was appointed commissioner of the Tshwane Metro Police. And Revo Spies is one who is responsible for fighting Julius Mkhwanasi, and instead, according to allegations, he is the one who was punished. His wife was allegedly punished for not basically listening to Julius Mkhonasi. And we know that Julius Mkhonasi was potentially protected by Dr. Imogen Mashazi. So it all began when journalist Jeff Wicks began asking uncomfortable questions about the blue light vehicles, specifically why they were registered to Cat VIP's company. And we know that they were allegedly fitted on the orders of Julius Mkhonasi. Now, we got to talk about some other things because we've covered the blue light saga extensively. Tonight, we're going to put together pieces about the other crimes that the EMPD has been involved in, crimes that Marius van der Merwe mentioned in his testimony. Now, we're going to start talking about the truck that vanished, and this starts to sound a lot like an extortion ring. So in November 2023, EMPD officers seized a truck on the claim, allegedly false, that it wasn't licensed. And instead of taking it to an impound lot, they allegedly took it to a completely unknown location. And when the owner finally got the truck back, it was missing its entire load and its gearbox controller. The value of this was not disclosed. We don't know what happened with the charges. We know that IPID investigated, and the consequences have seemed to be zero. And this is a common theme because all of these cases get opened against this same group of bad actors in the EMPD, but nothing gets done. And this wasn't even the only alleged threat. It gets much bigger. But firstly, I want you to listen to what Revo Spies had to say about this.
Incident that took place in Pitfontein. It's a truck with theft under false pretenses. The CAS number is a criminal archive system of SAPs that they're using. The CAS number is 86 of 2023, and it's a Pitfontein SAPs case, and IPID is obviously investigating it. This Inspector Mr. Makagula. It happened on a plot in Marigold Street in Pitfontein. These officers arrived at the scene 11 o'clock the evening, and they contacted their supervisor, who arranged the driver for them, who only arrived the next morning. So during the whole night, they kept the truck and the owner, very similar to, close to kidnapping, but they kept him in detention, which they're not allowed to do, but they were stationary with the truck and not allow anything to happen with the truck. The next morning, they actually, when the driver arrived that they've arranged, they took the truck and they drove off the plot with the pretense that the truck is not licensed and it doesn't have paperwork or anything, and they're going to impound the truck. And they follow a route, and in my head, obviously I know the area very well, but it's, if you're in Pitfontein area in Benoni, there's, from the plots, you go past the police station Pitfontein, and then if you carry on with that, you eventually get to the N12. Just off the N12 is the police vehicle impoundment. So you can either impound at Pitfontein, or you can impound at the vehicle theft unit pound. But they kept on driving past onto the N12 all the way towards Galuli's. The owner of this truck, and this is what Mr. Makagula informs us, the owner of this truck is following them with a dash cam all the way to Galuli's. At Galuli's, the officers switch on their blue lights and sirens, and they push in peak hour traffic through Galuli's, and the truck owner got stuck behind them. He couldn't go and follow them through Galuli's, and obviously lost him. Then that happened 11 o'clock the previous night to 8 o'clock the next morning, and then the truck is now gone. The very next day at 4 o'clock in the morning, the horse of this truck is handed in at Boksburg EMPD found by this specific officer, recovered as a stolen recovered vehicle. The truck is driven into the pound, meaning that it's operational, the engine, everything is working, but there's no load. So that no trailers whatsoever. The truck alone, the horse is driven in, and it's parked and booked into the pound legally as found back. However, the owner is then contacted to say, your truck's been found back, come look at it. And when you get there, the owner indicates that, but this truck can't drive as it is now because the gearbox controller has been removed. So the owner then alleged that the reason for that is that this is a brand new type of truck, that if you can reconstruct the movements from the gearbox controller if you are the owner or the manufacturer of the vehicle. But now the truck cannot move and drive at all. The controller of the truck was moved. But that's where that matter stopped. We provided the proof to IPID the very next day of, here's the occurrence book, here's the pound register where the vehicle was booked in. You can see which officer signed in, you can see which officer actually found the vehicle back. which correlates directly back to the officer that was on the scene that reported the initial scene. And that case is to date not concluded that we know of at all.
Now, Marius van der Merwe had something interesting to say in his testimony, otherwise known as Witness D, when he presented in front of the Madlanga Commission. And I want you to listen to what he had to say, because he sort of put the pieces together for us. Let me know what you think. And also, all people mentioned here are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. And these are all allegations based on sworn testimony in front of the Madlanga Commission.
Paragraph 46. There is another issue I would like to bring to the Commission's attention regarding the following private individuals. Jaco Hanekom, Chris Smith from Track Squad, and Etienne van der Walt, who owns Track Squad as well as Titan Security. All at some stage had appointment letters from EMPD stating that they form part of a EMPD truck hijacking task team. These letters were signed by Julius Mkwanazi. They personally participated in operations where recovered or stolen copper, stolen cobalt, stolen chain store products was recovered, where it's always the team indicated, which is Kershaw Stalls, Mackenzie, Etienne van der Walt, Chris Smith, Jaco Hanekom. At a later stage, Zander Fritz joined up with them. At some stage, even myself, in the beginning, participated in operations where stock was recovered. Only to realize that, and this is a question that most of us in our fraternity asked, is a truck gets hijacked, blue light hijacking, a week, 2 weeks later, there is an amount mentioned to the owner or the client that there's a recovery fee of 600,000 Rand or R1 million in relation to the hijacked goods. Then the stock would be recovered. It would be handed to the client with always a 299 letter from the Metro Police members. At one stage, Chris Smith was having...
Madlanga Commission, van der Merwe implicated several individuals, including suspended Deputy EMPD Chief Julius Mkwanazi and private security industry players. This is Etienne van der Walt. Witness D, known as van der Merwe, implicated him at the Madlanga Commission. Van der Merwe told the commission that van der Walt, an informant Jaco Hanekom, and Chris Smith from private security had appointment letters from EMPD stating that they formed part of an EMPD truck hijacking task team. Van der Merwe also said the group was at the crime scene in Brakpan in 2022 and alleged a suspect was tortured and chewed to death. Etienne van der Walt has denied any wrongdoing.
We've been implicated in truck hijacking for the last 4 or 5 years. Myself and Chris spoke about it quite a few times. We weren't happy about it because, you know, you do such good work. And we've on numerous occasions actually made the joke of it and said, let them just come and arrest us and let it get over and done with so that everyone can see that we are clean. When I spoke to my lawyer and he actually said to me, they are going to think that you are protecting him. I don't know Julius that much. I worked with him on 2 occasions and I've met with him on about 4 or 5 occasions. But I've got nothing to protect Julius on. If Julius is wrong in the eyes of the law, he needs to answer to his own wrongdoings.
At the Madlanga Commission, van der Merwe says he would have wanted a chance to clear his name before van der Merwe's death.
I'm not angry. I'm angry that he's not around anymore because it feels like my token has been taken away to prove him wrong. So I'm not angry. I'm more frustrated that I didn't get my chance to see Marius saying sorry to me. And I'm willing to give my testimony there on all the implications that was mentioned about me. And I actually can't wait to clear my name.
Van der Walt says he would have wanted a chance to clear his name before Van der Merwe's death. Another private security operator, Chris Smith, was also implicated by Van der Merwe and alleged he was involved in a truck hijacking, but Smith denies this.
I did nothing wrong. Everything that we do is, at the end of the day, is to make sure that the guys, the companies and so forth, reduce their risk, even insurance companies, and to try and reduce the risk and make sure that people stay employed. I wish he was still here, because now I don't have a chance to counter him and take him in front of the Mandela Commission or in front of public for him to retract his statements. I'm very upset that he's passed away, and yes, he didn't deserve the way that he did, but he was supposed to retract his statements. If the Mandela Commission asks me to come and give evidence, I will give evidence.
Another private security operator, Chris Smith, was also...
Now, here's where things turn deadly, and this results in the death of Jaco Hanekom. Now, Jaco Hanekom's death has been treated like a hijacking gone wrong, but I do agree with Revo Spies that it is suspicious because Jaco Hanekom was that informant. Now, he has a dark history. This is occurring in 2023, and in 2022, he was allegedly involved in that cover-up after that man died, after being subjected allegedly to medieval persuasion techniques. Jaco Hanekom was the one who allegedly called Julius Mkhonasi and said, come to the scene, come help us. And Julius Mkhonasi allegedly arrived and told Marius van der Merwe, who is someone who also decided to speak, to dump the body in a dam. But I've done a whole episode about the players involved in Crocodile Road that night, so I'll link it below. Go and give it a watch. Now, on a plot in Meyerton, allegations surfaced of EMPD members involved in large-scale copper cable theft. And this time, the accusations were backed by a man by the name of Jaco Hanekom, who had been formally appointed to assist EMPD. Now, Hanekom was ready to speak. He had evidence, he had details, and he was one of the witnesses in the IPID case against these officers. And then his life is ended in a drive-by shooting. The shocking part, he was killed on the very same day that the EMPD officers implicated in cable theft allegations were granted bail. Is this a coincidence or not? I don't think so. But basically, we are going to go into what Revo Spies said about this, because I want you to hear in his own words.
It is allegations of theft of copper at a plot in the Meyerton area. This information was corroborated not only when IPID gave this information, but I also got from an informant, which is Jaco Hanekom. And he was shot the day Stolz, Mackenzie, and Twala, the morning they got bail. That morning, that 12 o'clock that same day, Jaco Hanekom was shot in a drive-by shooting, which the police alleged is a hijacking that went wrong, but it looked to me and everyone on it looked like a hit. But he gave video clips and of what happened and took place. We most probably going to show the video clip, but the person who is speaking over the video clip, explaining what's happening on that is a civilian who is, and in that when he speaks, he mentions the person's name, but just his name, not his surname or anything like that. But it's an incident where our officers, together with this civilian, arrive on scene with unmarked cars, and one car has got a mark on, and they stopped at the front gate. The civilian with a red shirt tries to climb over the fence. It's a very high fence. He tries to climb over the fence, and then eventually the gate is opened for him and all the vehicles drive in. The civilian climbs into the Kershalee Stolz. She's one of the officers. It's her patrol car that's been assigned to her. The civilian climbs in her patrol car and he drives the car into the premises, driving the police car. And then the cars are standing around there and they're accosting the owner and they're discussing with him. They stole the cop and everything from him. That's what Mr. Makagula is saying. But then at this point where they're speaking about the last car that came in, they all went to the right rear passenger door of this car. And as they got there, the door opened and Mkhonasi, the Brigadier Mkhonasi at that stage, he climbs out of the right rear side as if he's being escorted or as if he's a principal VIP protection. He climbs out there and you can clearly see him on the video clip where he stands and talks to them and gives instructions to them. So that's a matter that's also being investigated by IPIT and Magagula and them, but which is not concluded to date. There's
Ja, 2 minutes left.
Okay, we're going to try and slow it down. It seemed to.
the gate then.
And you confirm that this is firstly an EMPD vehicle,
Correct.
and secondly, the clip. What we are seeing on that clip is the approach of that vehicle onto the complainant's property.
That is Etienne. That's the Etienne person, the civilian climbing out of the passenger.
Did you see that? Now, Revo Spies says that is the Etienne person. That is the Etienne person who is climbing out.
This is Etienne van der Walt. Witness D, known as Van der Merwe, implicated him at the Madlanga Commission. Van der Merwe told the commission that Van der Walt, an informant Jaco Hanekom, and Chris Smith from private security had appointment letters from EMPD stating that they formed part of an EMPD truck hijacking task team. Van der Merwe also said the group was at the crime scene in Brakpan in 2022 and alleged a suspect was tortured and choked to death. Etienne van der Walt has denied any wrongdoing.
We've been implicated in truck hijacking for the last 4 or 5 years. Myself and Chris spoke about it quite a few times. We weren't happy about it because, you know, you do such good work. And we've on numerous occasions actually made a joke of it and said, let them just come and arrest us and let it get over and done with so that everyone can see that we are clean. When I spoke to my lawyer and he actually said to me, they are going to think that you are protecting him. I don't know Julius that much. I worked with him on 2 occasions and I've met with him on about 4 or 5 occasions. But I've got nothing to protect Julius on. If Julius is wrong in the eyes of the law, he needs to answer to his own wrongdoings.
At the Madlanga Commission, Van der Merwe implicated.
They just say that's an unmarked EMPD car
So
that is coming out.
both vehicles is unmarked EMPD vehicles, and that civilian is the one that they will refer to as Etienne the whole time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The officer on the bottom right-hand corner with the black hair, female officer, that's Kershaw Lee Stolz. And then the officer, I don't know the other officers by name, but they are from the specialized services. The one with the denim on the left-hand side, I don't know his name, but he also works for us.
And you know that you don't know his name, you know he works for you. How? Have you seen him?
Because it's been confirmed by everyone that looks at this video. They know, the officers on the ground knows them. I just know that they say, this is our officer, this is our officer. And some you can see in uniform, it is our officer as well. This one in the red shirt is the only civilian one that we know that doesn't work for us.
Thank you.
I don't know if we saw. You mentioned a lady. Is she the one closest to the gate in front of the gentleman in red?
Correct, Commissioner. She walks towards the camera, right next to the gate, but you will see a better angle of her when they go to the inside camera.
All right, thank you.
Since 11:54.
If we may pause, can you identify the person on the screen now?
That's also one of our officers dressed in a golf shirt, but with our cap, EMPD cap, and then the EMPD pants and a rifle and everything. I also don't know his name, but the officers know him, that he's from Specialized Services.
Okay, thank you.
That officer stay the whole side, the whole period. He stays at that corner of the gate, protecting in and out.
This particular...
That particular officer, he doesn't come into the premises. He stays at that gate, guarding the gate. He's pulling in. And then the second car is coming in as well.
Nou stop jy, dan kan jy die binnenkant se kamera vat.
We're going to stop and then show the inside camera.
Nou die oogie, die oogie dan. Ja.
When I actually walked out and I told him to put the board in front.
So daar sal hulle klaar binne.
You're saying it wouldn't be issued uniform if it is.
No,
if
that's
my
not
observation is
issued
correct.
uniform. The shirt is not issued.
If you would first.
We've tried to pause it as quickly as we could. That's when we changed it back to cover.
Hanging there on the top, in the middle.
Daar gaan we op die muur af, en dan also. Also. Af en die hek nog.
So he's a civilian now. He climbs into the vehicle and the police vehicle, and he's driving the police vehicle into the premises.
Is this the vehicle that you said was Stolz's?
It's Stolz's official vehicle that's been assigned to her.
Kom hom hulle uit.
Stolz is the lady that walks now here in the front.
Sorry, please say that again.
Stolz, the lady walking towards Willem now, is Kersha Lee Stolz.
And then a member of the EMPD.
She was a member of the EMPD till she resigned.
Now we have to pair this with Marius's testimony because Marius said something very interesting in his testimony. He spoke about securing a copper scene and not allowing a certain officer to come in. Now, Mackenzie and Kershali, they have been implicated by Marius van der Merwe as the EMPD officers who were allegedly involved in that cover-up in Crocodile Road when that man was died after medieval persuasion techniques. And here we have seen various cases where the same individuals keep appearing. Is this a coincidence or is this part of something bigger? Make up your own mind.
And then we did the recovery on the copper. We got LCRC out. And that's obviously when Kershaw Lee and Mackenzie came to a crime scene, wanting to take the crime scene over in terms of managing it, in terms of getting their role players. And we prevented them from taking the crime scene. Captain Hartley of Dalmas assisted us in the crime scene. She actually opened the docket for us. And the recovered copper was submitted back to the client or the complainant through a Form 299.
Is a familiar pattern starting to emerge here? I think so, because the same names are being dropped over and over again. We've got Kersha Lee Stolz. She is being implicated here by witness D. She is innocent until proven guilty for trying to come onto a scene and allegedly take it over, but Marius prevented her. And this is just interesting because Mackenzie was there with her. These are the same two EMPD officers that are implicated by Marius van der Merwe as being at the house on Crocodile Road when that suspect was allegedly died after medieval persuasion techniques, and Julius Mkhonasi then allegedly arrived and told them to dump the body in a river or, a dam or a mine shaft. Are the pieces starting to fit together? So I think we are just getting to the tip of the iceberg here. Alleged that EMPD officers stole 45 million rand in precious stones that were meant for export. There is CCTV footage that exists, I'll clip it in, and a civil case followed. Now, this is where we should be getting really angry because guess who is paying for the civil case? Not these EMPD officers. It is us. It is taxpayer money that is going to fund this lawsuit. This is money that as taxpayers, we pay for roads, for hospitals, to improve the infrastructure in our country. And right now we are using it to pay for the crimes of criminals. Now, one of the officers then resigned because she claimed that Revo Spies was victimizing her. And she put a case against him, which was later dismissed. And the other two, no discipline, no trial, no internal action. It's almost like the system let the story evaporate. A system that was controlled by Julius Mkhonasi and Dr. Imogen Mashazi. But the next case, it didn't evaporate, it exploded.
Is that it was precious stones. And at that stage in my life, I only know that diamonds is precious stones, but this is sugolite, which looks like dirty rocks to me, but it's apparently a very expensive precious stone as well. And the owner of these rocks or precious stones was, what I understand, was in the process of exporting it out of the country, and he already had approval for that. And then our officers arrived on scene in uniform. What they did is, they went before that to the South African Police Service police station in the area. They signed on in the SAPS OB, and then from there, they took SAPS forms, a yellow form of how evidence get disposed of that have been impounded. They took that, go to this person, and then took the stones away from him as if he's in possession of precious stones that by law he may not be, and they're going to impound this. So they took this away from him. And then they gave him this form to say, but, yes, your receipt and proof that we took it away. And when he went to complain to the police doesn't know about this at all. And then eventually the matter was escalated and reported to IPID. And when IPID saw his CCTV photos and video, they immediately can see it's the same officers that is from EMPD, and they linked him in that manner. And that case has criminally also not been resolved that I know of at all. And the civil claim side is that I just know that it's been handed over to city manager, and then it went to Bihari. Thereafter, I don't know what happened with it at all.
Now, do you know if any arrests of EMPD members were made in respect of...
No arrest for this matter that I know of has been made. And they were at the scene itself on the photos. There were civilians, or a civilian, that later on, that civilian gets mentioned more and more because he's a civilian that he works and operates as if he's a Metro Police officer with them the whole time. But there was no arrest that I know of for this matter. Their matter, because when they were arrested, we obviously now have proper proof that there is a case against them. So internal dossier was investigated by Colonel Erasmus. It was presented to the division head of ER, Mr. Kolani and Nisa. And he then appointed a presiding and a presenting officer to start with the disciplinary matter. It only got to the very first day of the disciplinary matter. At that morning, I was there to actually start the testimony and everything. And when I arrived there, the matter was taken away. I don't know exactly how it was taken away, but the disciplinary process inside stopped completely. In May of that same year, the officers were on suspension for that period. And then at the end of their suspension, because normally the city will only suspend you for a 3-month period in terms of the disciplinary agreement. So at the end of that 3 months, when the officers returned to duty, there was an email discussion and correspondence from Commissioner Mazzolo, who was their direct divisional head, the deputy chief. He sent an email to Brigadier Makwanasi and to state that the 3 officers will be deployed in my division administratively, where they can be in the office environment so that they don't work as law enforcement officers. So, and I was CC'd in this correspondence. Kershaw Lee Stolz was placed at my Alberton Fine Administration Office, resorting under the command and control of Senior Clerk Veronica Brits, and Officer Mackenzie was placed at Nigel under Senior Clerk Juanita Merwe, and Officer Twala was placed in Boksburg under the command of a Senior Clerk Patty Peterson.
2 familiar names get dropped there. Aidan Mackenzie and Kershaw Lee Stolz. These are the same 2 EMPD cops that were name dropped by Witness D, Marius van der Merwe, as allegedly being involved in the cover-up on Crocodile Road. Remember when that man was subjected to medieval persuasion techniques and he died as a result? Then they allegedly, along with some other people who have been name dropped in this episode, helped to cover up by dumping the body in a dam. Now, all people mentioned are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, but coincidence or perhaps something more sinister going on here. Now, it has come out that Marius van der Merwe had survived 2 previous attempts on his life. The first was a few months ago in Plastic City, which is that notorious informal settlement there in Brakpan that is overrun by Zamazamas, also known as illegal miners. And he was allegedly providing backup for a demolishment of a major operation that was targeting Zamazamas. And remember, he had parked, he was looking in his night vision, he was scanning the area when a white Mahindra Bakkie, with 2 white men, as he described, came up and rammed him, and he returned fire and they were shooting at him, but he managed to get away. And the second attempt was about 2 weeks ago at the same location, and allegedly a bullet that was meant for him hit a rock before grazing off his forehead. Now, we can only hope that police, they have 3 suspects of interest in the case. We can only hope that arrests are made soon. And it doesn't help that we just get the hitman. We need to actually get the person who ordered this hit. We cannot tolerate people who come in front of a public commission to answer to us as South Africans that they are murdered in cold blood. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, remember to hit the like button immediately. Members, thank you, and subscribers for your ongoing support. Memberships contribute towards the plant fund behind me. I've bought some new pots. And additionally, everyone mentioned in this episode is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. These are just allegations.